Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Tech Tejendra. This is the part 4 of the Red Hat Ansible tutorial series. And in this video, we will first go and do the recap of Ansible ad hoc and the playbook, which we have created in our previous videos. And then we will also see our AWS Ansible setup, which we have created for this tutorial series. Then we will understand managing Ansible variables. And then finally, we will do the demo, okay, to how we can use these variables. There are multiple ways to use these variables. So let's go ahead. So this is our AWS Ansible setup. So we have set up our Ansible environment in the AWS cloud, okay, to demonstrate you and for demo purpose for all this series. For this, I have set up a control node in the AWS, and I have set up to manage host 1 and manage host 2. Same, all are using Ubuntu as a OS, and all are into same AWS cloud. Okay, so this is our control inside our control node. This is our Ansible configuration file, and this is our inventory file we are using. If you want to learn more about configurations and inventory, you can follow my previous videos, part 1, part 2, and part 3. So let me move ahead here. Okay, so in our last video in part 3, we learned how to write a playbook. Okay, so this was our first playbook we write in the part 3. It is just creating a HTTPD, or we can say Apache server, and copying a index file into that server. Okay, and then finally starting the service. Okay, then we also demonstrated that how this Apache service is running there, and we can access it through our public IP. Okay, so moving ahead for this part 4, uh, managing Ansible variables. Okay, so here are a number of ways we can define variable in Ansible. One is global scope. Okay, we can configure or define our variable in the configurations. Okay, in the global configuration of Ansible. Then number 2, host scope. Okay, so host scope means, as you know, that we have created an inventory file, and this inventory file we defines the host, we listed the host, and we can also group the host. Okay, so in this host scope, either we can define variables inside that inventory file itself, or we can create two different directories. One is group underscore vars, another is the host underscore vars. Okay, if any kind of variable you wanted to define for a whole group, suppose you are having a web group in your inventory file. Inside web group, you are suppose having 4 hosts. Okay, so any kind of variable which will be applied for all the group, okay, then you can define it inside the group vars directory. Okay, and if a variable is for particular host, okay, then you can define in the host var data. Okay, so I will give you an example in the demonstration. Okay, because this is the best way to define variable. Okay, and Ansible recommend, if you want to define a variable, then host scope is the best place to define your variables. Okay, then we can define variable in play scope inside your playbook. You can define. Okay, so generally in playbook, we define which is the variable which is not exactly required for a host. Okay, for some decision making and other kind of thing, we define at the play scope. Okay, and finally we are having the command scope. Once we are executing either Ansible command or the Ansible test playbook command, in that case we can also we can also give the variable. Like here I am showing the example. So we are executing this command Ansible test playbook, and this is our playbook main.yaml. Here by hyphen e, and then we are defining the variable here, package equal to Apache. Okay, so now let me discuss about precedence. Okay, so suppose you are having, suppose this is your variable package is equal to Apache. Okay, if you are having this same variable in your global scope as well as host scope, place scope, then command scope. Okay, then this is the precedence. Okay, so first precedence Ansible will take the value for this package from the command scope if you are defining it here. Okay, okay, and will ignore all from all other places. Okay, likewise if it is in place scope, then it will ignore host. If it is in host, then it will ignore global scope. Okay, so let's we move to our demo parts. In the demonstration okay, you can understand clearly that how we can apply this host. So these variables. So for a demonstration purpose, let's see our problem statement. Okay, so this is our problem statement we need to solve. Okay, using the Ansible. So now from onwards in my all videos, means after this part 4, in the part 4 and after this part 4, all demonstration which I will show you, I will first we will try to solve a problem statement. Okay, and we'll try to apply all the lectures in the past which we have seen and which we have learned into our problem statement. Okay, we will try to club so that for the good better understanding of the content, okay, of Ansible. So our problem statement is create users in host 1 and host 2 as specified below. Okay, so as you know, we have an inventory file we have two groups. One is host 1, one is host 2, and so host, so we want um, whatever hosts are there or whatever machines are there under the host 1 group. Okay, in all machine one user should be created. Okay, and this is the user information. So this is the variable. Okay, user is the variable. So in Ansible, let me tell you, everything is YAML. Okay, you write your playbook in YAML format, as well as whenever you are defining a variable, it is again a YAML format. Okay, so inside a playbook itself, you can define the variable, or you can define variable as a file. Okay, so in file in which you will define the variable, it is also a kind of a YAML file. Okay, so you can see it is also a YAML format, and proper indentation is here. Okay, so what we need to define, what we need to create in host 1, all the machines this user should be created. Okay, means the name of the user should be host 1, UID should be 1001, and state present. Okay, same kind in host 2, the host 2 user should be created. So that is our problem statement. Let we see how we will solve it. Okay, so I am moving to my console first. Okay, so uh, here I have connected with the putty here. Okay, and let me show you my directory structure. It is my control node. Okay, so in my control node, let me see, use tree command here. So in my control node here, okay, this is our working directory Ansible, and inside Ansible you can see I am having Ansible configuration file, I am having inventory file. Okay, and this playbook we have created in our last tutorial, part 3. Okay, so now what we will do, so for defining the variable, as I shown you here, so as our problem statement is saying that we need to so this we need to create users host files. Okay, so that's why we have to define our variable in the host scope. Okay, so and host scope where in the group vars dir. Okay, so what we will do, we will create, let me first show you the content of our inventory file. Okay, so that you can understand it better. So let me go inside our working directory. Okay, and if I get here inventory, then you can see we are having two hosts here, host 1 and host 2. These are the two groups. Under these two groups we are having only single instances. Okay, so in host group whatever instances are, we need to create a user, and same way in the host 2. Okay, so this is our inventory file. Okay, so now what we need to do, if we need to define a variable at the host level, okay, then in the same directory in which your inventory file is there. Okay, so our inventory file is in the same this location. We have to create a directory. Okay, and the name of the directory would be group underscore vars. Okay, so this directory we have created. Now what we need to do, inside this group underscore var directory, we have to create two files. One is host 1, another is the host 2, and inside these vars we will define our variables. Okay, let me show you how. Okay, so let me first create so this is in this way we will create our variables. Okay, so let me create first file here, host 1. Okay, and the content of the host 1 would be, okay, so you must need to check that, and indentation must be good. Okay, must be valid, otherwise it would be the invalid YAML file. Okay, so okay, let me create another file, host 2, and let we username should be host 2, UID should be 2. Okay, state should be present. Okay, so we have created, let me show you tree command. Okay, now what, in the same directory in which your inventory file is there, you are having your group vars directory, and thus the group var directory you are having two files, host 1 and host 2. Host 1 is containing variable for host 1 group, likewise host 2. Okay, now we need to create our playbook. Okay, so now let me create our playbook here. It is our playbook name, create user. Okay, so um, create user.yaml. Okay, so it will be very simple playbook file. Okay, and let me copy and paste the content of this playbook, then I will explain every explain line by line to you. Okay, okay, so if you are confused with these red color column, okay, then let me tell you, I have executed this command, this one. Okay, so this command, okay, this is command is very useful while you are writing a YAML file. Okay, why it is very useful? Because indentation is very important. Okay, while you are creating a YAML file, otherwise it will be invalid YAML. So for making a correct indentation, okay, that's why I executed this echo command. Okay, which is the auto command, and basically so it is creating these red columns here. Okay, and it will help us for making our file good in indentation. Okay, good indentation. So let me manage this file first. Okay, so task should be here, and then this file is having only single task. Okay, and task is the user is the module. Okay, let me first manage this, then I will explain you everything. Okay, okay, our file is managed. Now let me understand line by line. Okay, first three dash means it is starting the document. Okay, then we are having name. Name means name is just a description, so we description create user. Then host here. Okay, see here, I have given value all. Okay, so means this playbook will be applied into the all host listed in the our inventory file. Okay, and then we are having task, so it is having only a single task. Okay, now task name is the user creation, and then we are using user module. Okay, in our part 2 we have discussed about what modules and how we can check and how we can use Ansible Ansible dash doc command uh, to um, to take help about and to know about what all values, what all modules are there. Okay, so this user module take three parameters. Okay, this name parameter is the mandatory parameter and other parameters are optional. Okay, so I am defining here name. Okay, now see here, this is the way of using variables. User variables we have already defined in the in as in a file inside the group bars. Okay, so from there now it will read the variable. Okay, it will read from their username, user uid and user state. Okay, and see, that is the power of Ansible and the way how we define the variable inside the Ansible. Okay, so once we will start running this playbook, it will for host one it will read variable inside the host one vars. Okay, and for host 2 it will read for the host 2. Okay, so that is the power. That's why we define and Ansible also recommend to manage your variables in host wise. Okay, in the host scope. Okay, that is the preferred way. So let me save this file here. Okay, now first let me check the syntax whether our Ansible playbook is all syntax are good or not. Okay, so all syntax check are passed, so it is a valid playbook. Okay, now let's run this playbook and see the result. Okay, okay, before running this playbook, let we go to our both host 1 and host 2. So this blue one is my host 1. Okay, so let me see whether user is already there or not. Okay, so let me show you cat etc. Okay, so okay, so currently no host one user is there. Okay, in this host one, let's see also check in the um, host two also. Okay, so red one is host two and blue one is the host one. So cat etc. Okay, so you can see host 2 also not created as of now. You can see newbie has been created, which we have created in our part 2 as a ad hoc command. Okay, so now let me run this command now and see what happened once we will run this command. Okay, so it's started executing. Okay, it's executed successfully. Okay, let me see result. Okay, so play create user started task. This is first gathering facts. Okay, gathering facts from, so it's found there are two hosts. Okay, one host and two hosts. It's first gather all the information from these two. Then it start, then it is executing the task. Okay, first task name is the user creation. Okay, now you see the here status is changed. Okay, change means I already told you that if any state is being changed of your host, managed host, then it will show you changed. Okay, so at both it's showing the state has been changed. Okay, so means user is created successfully there. Okay, so let me now check. Let me first go into host one and run this again. Now see. Okay, so our host one user has been created with the correct uid. Okay, same way let's see in the red one means host 2, so here host 2. Okay, in blue one host 1 created, in red host 2 created. So Ansible picked the correct variable in the correct way. Okay, and that is the power of Ansible. Okay, if I try to run same playbook again, okay, then see, then let's see what would happen. Okay, I am now running it again. Okay, now this time, okay, this time no state has been changed. User was already there. Okay, so Ansible cross-checked everything and found the user with the same information is already there. That's why the state has been not changed. Okay, and task is just returning okay, successful. That's it. Okay, it is not. So here you can check okay to change zero. Okay, everything. So you can check here. So that was the defining variable. In the next in our next part, okay, we will more deep dive. Okay, so there are number of types of variables you can define in Ansible. You can define arrays, you can define lists, you can define simple variables. Okay, so a very huge range of variables you can define. Okay, so we will in our subsequent videos we will more deep dive into Ansible world. Okay, and we will write more complex playbooks. Okay, and I will also show you how to use secrets. Okay, vaults in Ansible. Okay, suppose if we need to define a variable, suppose a password we need to define as a variable. Okay, so that's why we have to use these variables secretly. So these are the secrets in Ansible. So maybe in the next video I will show you how these secrets and other looping is also one thing. Okay, in Ansible. So how loop worked in Ansible. Okay, so uh, that's all for now. Okay, thanks everyone for watching this video.